Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Today is September 9th, and it is also Tuesday now. So, hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Hopefully, all you guys had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully, all you guys had a wonderful Labor Day as well. Sorry for no episode yesterday. There was literally no news to talk about. So I figured it would be good to take a break before a bunch of shit starts happening. Hope all you guys are doing well though. Quick little update on the nail situation since I finally got them done. If it'll focus, Minecraft nails, I'm a big fan. So, let me know if you guys like them as well. Outside of that though, if you're new here, please subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. And with that being said, let's get into the news from today and yesterday. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, the first topic we have today is a judge has blocked the Trump administration from deporting children. A U.S. judge has temporarily blocked an attempt by the Trump administration to deport dozens of children to Guatemala unaccompanied. District Court Judge Swarky Sukanans, that's pronounced horribly, I'm sorry, Sparkle Sukanans, order was a response to the reports that children were being put on planes. Lawyers had argued that they would be at risk of abuse or persecution if they were sent back to Guatemala. These children came to the U.S. alone and are in government custody while immigration claims are being assessed. The president of Guatemala has criticized this ruling as he believes they weren't being deported, but they were being reunited with their families. This is very interesting because there's definitely a reason why they came here alone. So I don't know why you would say it's an attempt to reunite them with their family. Historically, families have sent their children to other countries to get them out of bad situations. And I don't know much about, global or Guatemalan politics. Sorry, not global. I know quite a fair bit about that. But I'd assume that's also the case here. I'd assume that a majority of these families are sending these children out to get them out of a horrible situation, which we have seen for hundreds of years, not even just in the United States, around the world. When a war happens, things like this happen, or when a terrible situation happens in a country, things like this happen. It's not uncommon to see. So I think there's more of a reason here for this, if you will. In other news, Trump has suspended visa approvals for nearly all Palestinians trying to come to the United States. The United States has suspended visa approvals for nearly everyone holding a Palestinian passport. This will prevent Palestinians from traveling to the United States for medical treatment, attending college and business travel, along with so much more. 2 weeks ago, the State Department said it would halt all visas for individuals from Gaza due to a review being conducted, and this is reportedly the result of that review. Free Palestine for one, but this is insane. We are preventing people from getting out of an active war zone, and possibly getting life-saving care, because of that. But also, like the obvious reason, we are preventing them from getting out of an active war zone. That is genuinely insane on so many levels and fucked up on so many levels. Like people are dying by the thousands week after week, yet we're blocking them from getting away from a situation like that. That is fucked up. Genuinely, that is so fucked up. Free Palestine. I hope a judge blocks this or something, but we haven't heard anything yet. In other news, a judge has ruled that Trump's deployment of the National Guard in LA is illegal. A federal judge in California has ruled that the Trump administration violated a 19th century law in their use of soldiers for civilian law enforcement in LA. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer said in his ruling, the evidence at trial established that the defendants systematically used armed soldiers and military vehicles to set up protective perimeters and traffic blockades, engage in crowd control, and otherwise demonstrate a military presence in and around Los Angeles. He continued, in short, defendants violated the Posse Comitatus Act. This is great news because the deployment of these troops in LA is extremely illegal. It is an attack on the city, but not just that, an attack on the entire state of the California that no president has the authority to do. The government has to give the president authority to deploy the National Guard, and Gavin Newsom did not give Trump that authority. This is a massive win, and hopefully we don't see it contested. But, with all things that kind of negatively impact the Trump administration, I'm sure we will. In other news, moving on to the segment about Trump and him being alive, Trump spoke publicly today. Trump was set to make an announcement this afternoon at 2 p.m. following a week of silence on his health, following a week of silence and health rumors. Sorry, according to Caroline Levitt, announcement will focus on defense, likely being the change of the Department of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I believe that was talked about within the meeting, but it was not the main focus. Everyone. It was very interesting to watch. I will say that. There wasn't really much to talk about. It really could have just been, an email. Like genuinely, like it could have been a true social post. Like there was no reason for this, press conference to happen, other than confirming that Trump is alive, which now we know Trump is alive. But it was a waste of time to watch this interview, in all honesty. So if you missed it, good for you on saving time. In other news, what actually happened? Trump confirms that the Space Force Command HQ is going to move. Trump has announced that he will be announced that the U.S. Space Force Command HQ is moving from Colorado to Alabama. In 2018, he signed an order reestablishing the USS Space Command with the main goal to find ways of defending U.S. space interests. Joe Biden previously decided to keep the HQ in Colorado, which I believe it is currently in Colorado Springs, which was the temporary HQ, sorry. But now Trump has decided to move it to Huntsville, Alabama. Excuse me again, sorry. This is interesting, and essentially was the main focus of the press conference, which was a waste of time, as I just said. It could have been an email, but hey, Trump's alive and J.D. Vance isn't president, so I'd say that's, a semi-win, if you will. But really, there's no reason to do this. I believe the Colorado HQ has been set up pretty well. I haven't gotten the opportunity to go, but I have seen pictures of it. I was really interested in the Space Force for a hot minute. And it's not a bad facility from what I remember seeing pictures of. I believe it's a pretty nice one. So I hope they don't just, throw it out entirely. I hope the Space Force continues to use it. But overall, this meeting was not the most eventful. But there was something very eventful about it, and that being the military has conducted strikes within the Caribbean. The U.S. military has conducted a precision strike against a drug-carrying vessel in the Caribbean that claims to be associated with the Tren de Aragua gang. The strike killed 11 people, and no U.S. forces were harmed. This was announced by the White House today during Trump's meeting. We've had boats out on the Venezuelan coastal waters for a little over a week now, and this is the first strike they've taken. Outside of that, they've just raised tensions with a country that doesn't really like us already, and overall is actively wasting manpower. Most drugs are brought in by U.S. citizens, and even Border Patrol data says that 91% of all drug stops and seizures are against U.S. citizens, which is crazy because MAGA will tell you differently. We really should be focusing our efforts somewhere else, because if we want to get drugs off the streets, there are better ways to do that than just sending boats off of another country's coast just to piss them off. Genuinely, we are wasting our time here. In other news, moving on to our ICE segment, we have one topic today, as there is going to be a massive surge in ICE enforcement. Kristi Noem has confirmed that the Trump administration plans to expand ICE enforcement massively in major cities, including Chicago. Noem said to CBS News, "We have already had ongoing operations with ICE in Chicago and throughout Illinois, along with other states, making sure that we're upholding our laws, but we do intend to add more resources to those operations." She also added that this would include National Guard mobilization, something they don't have the power to do without governor approval, saying that is always a prerogative of President Trump and his decision. I won't speak on specifics of the operations that are planned in the other cities. I'm going to take a little sip of water here. Fuck ICE truly, for one. If you see officers, or ICE officers for that matter, make sure you shout and scream, because these people don't deserve to be able to do their job. They're terrorizing communities. They are terrorizing families. They are terrorizing everyone. in this country day after day, and it needs to end. If I see ICE agents, they're going to know I'm there personally. I will probably even make a video about it because nobody should have to be sent to a concentration camp. Flat out, plain and simple. Nobody should have to be stripped away from their loved ones for breaking a civil crime. And I'm going to continue to speak out because if I don't speak out, what stops them from coming after people like me? Or what stops them from coming after the people I care about? And all of you should continue to speak out as well because these fuckers do not deserve to be able to do their job. They are the scum of the scum, within this country, and they deserve to be shut down, genuinely. Anyways, moving on to our other news segment tonight with our final topic, anti-Trump protests took out across the country for Labor Day. Protests have taken out across the country today against the Trump administration, or yesterday now, against the Trump administration, as tens of thousands marched. Many in D.C. demonstrated for workers' rights, and even more events are set to take place, covering from D.C. to Guam. The White House has also defended the president, saying no one has done more for working men and women than Trump, but as we all know, that isn't the case. I'm glad so many people have continued to speak out and protest day after day against this administration. Protesting is the best way to make your voices heard, and it is necessary that people continue to go out there and do it, especially the working class. I mean, people need to know that Donald Trump is negatively impacting the working class. The fact that so many people don't realize that is honestly really unfortunate. But the more workers we have go out there and do it, the more, build up and the more realization we can have in that. Trump does nothing to help the working class. Everything he does hurts it. It doesn't matter what propaganda they push. That is just a fact. So please continue to let them hear it. With that being said, though, I hope you all enjoyed. There's a few other topics that we will cover tomorrow. I had a fat headache while trying to write this, so I didn't really get to everything, but I will cover them tomorrow. I know the House just released a bunch of Epstein file stuff, so I will get to that tomorrow. I swear, I promise. I'm sorry for not getting it today. I had a terrible headache when I got home. But outside of that, hopefully you all enjoyed today's episode. It has definitely been an interesting one. Please subscribe here if you're new. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I would really appreciate all the support. We are really, really close to 300. I believe we are 9 subscribers away. So, help me get there. I would really appreciate it. Maybe we can get there by the end of the week. That would be super cool. Outside of that, though, if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They will help me pay for the things that I'll need to pay for in college, like food, like clothing, like all of that. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. It means the world to me. Thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all in